Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with a man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real, still the real Anthony D. And your main man, Jersey's finest, the hood representative, Uncle Freezie. Yo, party people in the place. Oh, man, the virtual thing can't catch the hat. Oh, man, come on, virtual thing. All right, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's your number one chief rocker in Knicks Universe, Uncle Freezie. Salute. Welcome to Old School Knicks. My main man, Anthony D, is on the way. Just go ahead and getting started so I can kind of get a little bit of the stuff that I want to kind of talk about out of the way. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about was culture. And do the Knicks have one? And if we have one, what is it? Right. And so I saw a lot of y'all comments in the chat. Let me salute, man. Ralph Lewis in the building. Salute. Salute, Ralph Lewis. Salute, Pierre Moise is in the building. Smitty is in the building. Andios was good. Tone Wu in the building. What's good, my guy? Salute. Salute, Tone Wu. I'm gonna ask a question, and I want y'all's sincere answer on it. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna edit this. Do the Knicks have a culture? And what is that culture? Let me see. Hold on. Let me do this. See my guy back here. Hold on. Let me put that up, and then let me bring in my guy. Still, the real AD is in the building. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's good, boss? You look good, man. You just coming. You just stepping off the street back in the crib.
Just stepping off.
Yeah, look at AD. Look at AD.
Absolutely.
Everything, man.
Absolutely, sir. I can't even lie. Mm-hmm. Where we at? Where we at this morning? Good morning. Salute, Knicks Nation. Good morning. Sorry for my tardiness.
So I'm gonna show you what it is, that the question that I asked. I want to take that.
Oh boy.
And put that up.
Let me see. On Dios, Tone Wu, everyone that joins us in the morning. Salute to you all.
Man, I'm a glutton for punishment, right? So I went and watched the Alexis Arguello Aaron Pryor fight.
Again?
And then after that, I watched the Aaron Pryor and oh my gosh, I forget his name, but he was killing Aaron Pryor in those first 7 rounds, bro. Oh my camera's starting to, my video. I'm gonna have to. I hate to do that. My video is getting fidgety. I don't know why it's always fidgety on Sunday mornings, man. There must be a thing. But I was what's the guy AD knocked Aaron Pryor down around? The black dude.
Cervantes.
That's it. He was bigger than Pryor, right? I'm gonna turn my camera off, y'all.
Yeah, he knocks him down, and it just didn't phase Pryor. Pryor gets up and he's doing the windmill with his with his hand, and then
count.
And then he just unleashed the dragon on him. It was like, I don't even know why you knocked me down.
He just woke him up.
He woke him up. The referee could barely do the 8 count.
Yep.
He barely could probably the 8 count. But I was watching. It's funny you mentioned boxing because I was watching Razor Ruddock, Tommy Morrison last night.
I saw that this week too.
Good fight.
Yeah.
Good. I totally didn't remember that was a good fight. Now you get mad at Richard Steele for his, premature stopping and so forth, but that fight, oh my God! I'm like, ref, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That ref should have stopped that fight 3 times in either direction, bro.
He could have, but it didn't make any sense because the fight was that entertaining.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with boxing is when you have multi-representation of the championship, because they were fighting for the IBC.
Oh my God.
Itch, back, crutch. What the hell that shit stands for, right? The IBC championship. 12 rounds, but they had their own set of rules.
Right.
Okay? Their eight standing 8 counts stood for a knockdown.
Right.
And that referee, I'm like, dude, you got a great fight here. They're only in the 6th round, 7th round, something like that.
Right.
Just made no sense.
Made
no sense at all.
Defense optional in that fight. That was defense optional.
There was none.
Right.
There was absolutely none because Ruddock basically comes off of a 2-year hiatus. Yep. Morrison had gotten knocked out by. Well, they both got knocked out by Lennox.
Ray Mercer.
I'm sorry, Mercer. Mercer had not. He just coming off getting knocked out by Mercer, right? Ruddock had gotten knocked out by Lewis like 2 years prior. He kind of takes like a 2-year off. And when I'm watching Ruddock, I'm like, you're such a disappointment to me, right? And it's not because, you're Jamaican, whatever, but the talent was there for Ruddock. Like, those 2 fights he had with Mike Tyson was not a figment of our imagination.
No.
First one, premature stopping, you could argue either way. The second one, Tyson didn't want to fight him again so soon. He thought he was getting a Holyfield fight. Ruddock is like, okay, I'll listen to my management. I'll fight him again. And that second Tyson fight kind of ruins him.
Yeah. Because
he never gets a he never gets a true championship try. And if you remember that Tyson Ruddock fight, 12 rounds, brutal. I saw him hit Tyson with a left uppercut. I thought he'd knock Tyson's head off.
Yeah, Tyson had a very underrated chin, bro.
Yes. Very underrated. So, so Ruddock was always, as I'm watching him against Morrison last time, I'm like, dude, Morrison is so open for the jab. You're just kind of sitting back waiting to launch what he used to call his left hook, because he threw like a left hook check. He used to call it the smash.
Yeah.
He hit a washed up Michael Dokes with that smash in Madison Square Garden. I thought he paralyzed Michael Dokes. Because Dokes is hanging on the rim like
right.
Wake me up before it's over.
Right.
So let me get your name right. Is it Latoria B? Right. Okay. Salute Latoria B. So you're in the chat, seeing them on there. We gotta encourage the ladies to participate. Latoria, put your friends around. We need more female interaction in our nickdom.
Yeah, man.
We happy this one. Hey, we got a 3-game winning streak. Woo-hoo! All is right with the world. Woo-hoo! Tibbs can hold on to his job one more week.
One more week. And so, AD, what I wanted to ask you, right? What I want to ask you, is this, and I have to preface it And again, everybody, I apologize. I apologize because for some reason I don't know what it is, but on because I have everything set up exactly the same, and my camera.
Man, the people don't care, man. Let's rock
Yeah,
out.
y'all can tell like y'all can tell
It don't matter. The people don't care. They here to see a show.
they here to see a show.
They
So here's the thing that I'm asking:
uh,
do the Knicks have a culture, and what is it? The reason why I'm asking is because when we hired Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau, or were looking to hire Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau, one of the first things we wanted to do was establish a culture. Right? It felt like it was very important to Knicks fans to have a culture. But here we are, almost 5 years into it. Anthony D, do we have a culture, and what is it?
yes, and I believe the culture is selflessness because I think that's what it's going to take to win it all. You see, and you guys, you've heard me say this. I'm not going to even go down that road again. But you have a captain who takes half a bag instead of the full bag. That doesn't happen before what we have here in front of us. You know, Randall took a little bit less, excuse me, that first go around and so forth. But that wasn't this. That was the beginning. Randall, you could say, and taking less at that time was selfless. Okay? Not many people leave money on the table just so you can bring in, additional pieces to make your job a little easier. It's very difficult to ask anybody to leave money on the table. So I would say yes, and the culture has to do with, selflessness and hard work. You saw Josh Hart after the game last night. He took a shot at the people, who were taking shots at his coach when he says the minute police can relax now. See what I'm saying? These guys don't care. It's for the coach to manage and so forth and so forth. But if you ask them to run through a brick for him right now, they're going. Okay? So that's the culture to me. What say you, Uncle Freezie?
Um,
What you drinking a latte?
I'm not sure. It's part of the reason why I asked the question. I don't have an answer for it. But then when you said the minutes police, it made me think that they're listening and cooperating begrudgingly. Right. So the culture part, I'm not for sure. I need y'all help on that to establish what the culture is, and not establish what the culture is to them, the New York Knicks organization, but to us establishing what the culture is and how we exist in it. But the minutes police thing is something totally different, right? The minutes police thing, nah, you ain't gonna throw a shot at the minutes police, and then we see that Tibbs rested Carl Anthony Towns. Cat didn't play 30 minutes this game, and Mikal Bridges didn't play 30 minutes the game prior. They hear us and they know that we're right. They know that the minutes thing is abusive, borderline, some type of psychosis. So they hear us, and they listen to us because one of the things that I argue with about people a lot in life, and this may not apply to this chat, but I'm gonna say it anyway, so so people can have a history in the background of me, so you'll know where I'm coming from. My personal belief is that people are smart, right? And just because you have an idea or an opinion that differs from others don't mean people are not smart. It's the reason why when AD asked me this question just now about the question that I asked about culture, I just straight up told AD, listen, man, I don't have an answer for it. I'm listening. AD, did I offend you? I hope I ain't chat. I hope I ain't offend y'all when I said I don't have an answer. No one person is gonna have all the answers. I don't have one for this culture situation. The minutes thing, though, when Josh Hart mentioned that, it makes me it immediately gives me the vibe or sensation that they know that a ton of NBA minutes is begging for injuries at the most inopportune time, and they have to prepare for it. But they want to begrudgingly because all these dudes want to play, right? All these dudes want to play, and I don't mind them playing. But you can't tell a Knicks fan that have seen these same Knicks in the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years lose in the playoffs due to fatigue-like injuries. So Josh Hart, I feel you. Josh Hart is absolutely the captain of saying weird, sideways stuff. And so when Josh Hart talks, sometimes I listen and sometimes I don't. Like sometimes I hear stuff and sometimes I don't.
But how is it? How is it? Well, I can't tell you how to receive the information. For me, he then goes on to say, I got 5 more years. That man is what? 29? 30?
29, 30, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he sees his mortality, his NBA mortality. Okay? And he's basically saying, I've got the pedal to the metal. I want to win a championship. Waking up, working hard is the only way I know how to do it. Pressing is the only way I know how to do it.
Okay.
You know, if you started giving him, let's be reasonable here. When he first came here with a pullback, I'm thinking, all right, 20, 25 minutes a night, not even looking at who's in front of him, right? But before long, that 20, 25 minutes a night became 35. And the moment that Tibbs was able to press that 35 to 45 in the playoffs, and then, you know, he did it because what? That guy could take it, right? His alternative was, no, guy's not playing better. He's not going to work as hard as this guy. And I get the point because the point is valid. But he sees his mortality. He sees what he thinks he brings to the table and how much he has to give, and he's not worried about it. So if he is not worried about it, fans, we have to, it's a genuine concern. I don't want to belittle the concern, but we got to relax.
I'm a side on the side of the majority and say, nah, man, Josh Hart, you gotta respect us. That's what I'm gonna say. You gotta respect us because just people that have access to more information doesn't make them smarter at baseline stuff. Right? It's AD. This is what I want. This is one of the things. A lawyer told me this one time, and it's one of the smartest things I ever heard. Right? Right. A lawyer said, access to more information doesn't make everyone smarter. Right? And so when he said that, I was like, what are you talking about? If you have all the answers, don't that give you the key to solving everything? And he was like, well, how long have medical companies had access to all this information? And think about how many things that they've cured over the years. Right. And so using that example, I'm not saying that pharmaceutical companies have not done great jobs. They have over the years, right? Solving and fixing a lot of stuff. But there are some stuff out there like, yo, this has been our biggest problem for 700 years, and you're not even close. Right. And so when Josh Hart say that, man, I'm like, man, don't throw shots at us. We are the people that are here to support and back you.
Are we the minutes police?
Yeah.
I don't get. I'm not a part of your kind. I'm not a part of the minutes police situation. I'm not. So that's where we part ways. That's not my thing. But there's an argument for both sides. You know what I'm saying? It really is, and we won't know for another couple of months. We really won't. Right. But that guy's playing. What was his numbers last night? I don't even know. What, 20 and 17 and 10, 11, whatever.
Right.
Go out there and play basketball.
Yeah.
That's what I care about. Go out there and play basketball. Played up against a good team last night. You gave them their comeuppance. That's it. Yeah. That's all I care about. Moving the ball, playing the right way.
Right.
That's it. I can't. That's like, you nitpicking at your lady, because she didn't pick up your socks or something, but she done everything else for you.
Yeah, like relax.
Like, we gotta relax. You gotta, because then that woman, that partner of yours or whatever, look at you like you're ungrateful.
Right.
Like, how much can I do for you?
Right.
What more? How else can I prove my love? Every time I go out, I got to fight. I got to prove my love.
Child brother. Let's play child.
Let's play child brother.
Yeah, man. I'm like,
yo, I did that man so dirty, man. I said, yo, I'm gonna talk to you later.
Right.
Right. My God. Poor Duck walks up on him and like, had his hand out like, yeah. I was like, yo, talk to you later. That's so wrong. Me and my brother would have been fighting right there, buddy. You ain't doing me like that.
On the spot. And nobody better not break it up either, because
you ain't walking out. You ain't walking out with that. Not what he was walking out with. No sirree, Bob.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, I get it. I get it, Freezie. I mean, we're happy and we're nervous. And what you said a couple of weeks ago, how you were anxious and you were nervous, and that's just what we are right now as Knicks fans.
Yeah.
We in the moment right now, we won 3 games in a row, all seems well. We're preparing to go to work tomorrow, and let us lose Tuesday night.
See what happens. Yeah.
Let the Knicks lose Tuesday night. I mean, we're having interventions on like a daily. Think about that. I peep in. Shout out to all the podcasters who do an amazing job. I peep in everyone's chat, and I look into the chat and whatever, and it's anarchy after every loss. Nobody says, good game. We could have, did a little bit this way and a little bit this that way, whatever. Nobody enjoys the game anymore. It's just like, did we lose? All right, time for a meeting. What time you going on, Freezie? What time you going on, Still Knicks? What time you going on, whatever? We need to voice our displeasure. Because we're supposed to win every damn game. And that's the truth. We're supposed to win every game. Right. It's not reality. It's just not. It's really not. We're not giving ourselves a chance to enjoy what's in front of us. We're not giving our chance to enjoy. I don't think I've heard anyone really talk about the Knicks have 2 starting all-stars. Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened in 50 plus years.
Yep.
Okay, I remember when Ewing, Starks, and Oakley went to the All-Star game.
94.
Right. None of them start. I think Ewing started. The other two didn't start.
Right.
In fact, I don't even think Ewing started because Shaq was here.
Yeah, Ewing didn't start.
I don't think Ewing starting days was over when Shaq arrived.
Yeah, yep.
So we've got two guys that were recognized. When I saw it, I was like, what? Both of them made it? Both of them all-stars? Wow. You know, because we were begging for Brunson the last 2 years to be.
Yep.
You know, we gotta enjoy these wins, these little wins as we get to the eventual win.
Right.
Because I know I'm watching this year. I don't think I've watched the All-Star game in God knows how long.
Right. Yeah.
The game itself, the festivities I'll watch. The game itself, I'll peep in 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. This year, oh shit. God willing, I'm watching every minute of that because I want one of our guys to win MVP.
Right. Right.
Think about that. The last time we had two guys starting in the same thing, Clyde won MVP.
Clyde won MVP. Yep.
Clyde an extra seat on the plane for his trophy.
Yeah.
Just think about that. That's how happy he was. So it's not what we want in the end, but it's an in-season accomplishment that we haven't had in a very, very long time. And I'm excited for that.
Right.
You know, I remember Ewing 1 year at the All-Star game. God, Ewing, God, this league treated Ewing bad.
Right.
Ewing should have been MVP. Kevin McHale said he told him, you should steal that trophy.
Right.
I think he had like 28 and 14 or something like that. I don't think anyone even thought about giving him the trophy.
Right. Yeah, Pat it was a disrespected star.
So, we talked about this maybe a couple of months ago. When I was watching Gil's Arena and they had Dwight Howard on there. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, but, you know, they asked him, you know, top 75 and, you know, Ewing's name come up. And he's like, well, you know, you were my mentor and all that, whatever, but there's no way your game was better than mine. And I'm like, are you? And then it left me for a minute. Until one day I'm watching something on YouTube, you know, a Ewing fan like us, and they pointed out some things that I totally forgot. 6 times in Patrick Ewing's career, Patrick Ewing was voted in the top 5 for the MVP. 6 in the first 12 years of his career. He was voted top 5 in the MVP race. When you are voted top 5 in the MVP race, Freezie, that means you're one of the top best players in the entire game.
Right.
And he accomplished that 6 times. 6 times in his first 12 years. I'm like, Howard, you were never that. You're a great defensive player, but offensively, you couldn't see Pat if his highlights were playing in your eyelids.
Right. Right.
So I remember him not winning, you know, that MVP, and I'm like, wow, and it just made me think, like, all of the disrespect that he had. But you know what? When you don't win, that's what happens. It's a part of it when you don't win. You get disrespected.
Pat was the GOAT. Anthony D, that's so disrespectful when you laugh in my face like that about.
Well, you're not on the screen, so I'm not laughing in your face.
Did y'all see that? Did y'all see a man laugh directly in my face when I say something heartfelt like that?
I'm not going there.
Did y'all see that?
I'm not doing this with you today. I'm not.
All right.
And
So
Pat is our beloved captain, number 33, will live in our hearts forever and ever. And we will defend him like Like
top
Warriors.
three, definitely a top 3 greatest NBA player of all time. Top 3. No doubt. No doubt. Top 3. I'm gonna go Patrick
Oh
Ewing.
God.
I'm gonna go Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell.
How can he be greater than Jordan?
No, I
If
didn't.
Jordan,
I didn't. I didn't say he was greater than Jordan. I just mentioned 3. I didn't put him in the order.
so what's the order?
I don't know.
Let me play along with you with this nonsense. What's the order? Chat, let's play along with him. What's the order? What's the order?
I think the only player in NBA history that I know is a better player than Patrick Ewing is Michael Jordan. Right. That's the thing. And I'm barely there. I think Jordan wins by a Pippen. It's not like he's a runaway thing. He's not a runaway.
Okay. Since I'm in my stat mode here today, I'm on my Ike BM Dre shit. Shoot out to my dude. There's only been one player in the NBA history that's won, that was first defensive all team, led scoring, led playoff scoring, won MVP of regular season, MVP of the finals, and won the finals. So that was like 6 categories, right? And this player did it 4 times.
Okay.
That's Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Okay.
Okay? Now, Wilt, I thought it was Wilt. When the person was talking, I thought it was Wilt. Oh, that's easy, Wilt. No, Wilt, not even once. Bird Magic, not even once. That's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. So when you want to, and I know what you do because, you know, for some particular reason, someone told you that my dandruff likes to be raised. You know, there's no bigger Knicks fan than myself, but that man, that number 23, that gave me sleepless nights, that man, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Patrick Ewing is not that. It's not even in the conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no to that.
It's just not that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Mike
say
gave us sleepless nights. He didn't give Mike sleepless nights.
yeah, I'm gonna say no
Ever.
I'm gonna say no to that.
Because you're a fan.
No, because I understand how basketball works.
You're a fan.
No, I know how basketball works, bro. I played it my whole life, organized my whole life. I understand how basketball works, bro.
You want to, and I get it, Freezie. The team is what wins. The organization is what wins.
The coach,
but the coach is what wins,
yeah.
Right? But when you have individual, dynamic, combustible talent that's doing this every night you stepped on the floor against Michael Jordan, you knew what it was. You knew what it was. That's why I tell people, you know, why I get so offended when guys take nights off during the regular season. And I'm not even the regular season guy like that. But there are nights when a dad buys a ticket for his son, 2 sons, daughter, and they get to go in a regular season game and go watch Mike drop 58 on the Pistons. In their building. Or watch him drop 61 against this one, 69 against Cleveland. Watch him play 80 or 81 games, 8, 9, 10 years in a row. You didn't have to worry when you called up the ticket box box office, excuse me, if these guys were going to play. 98.9% of you felt it wasn't even a thing. Rest in season? We didn't know anything about this before Popovich and his nonsense.
I agree with you on that part.
So these guys' greatness, that guy's greatness was on a nightly. That you could see it on display in front of you. And remember, he's playing with guys in his zenith of scoring. His teammates are David Corzine.
No.
Brad Sellers.
Nah, come on, dog. These dudes ain't rotation players. Well, you know what?
But
Yeah, you're right.
Those were his teammates.
In the beginning, yeah.
Those early years when he's averaging, because I think as a rookie, did he average 29 as a rookie?
Something like that.
Something like that. Then it just kept going up and up. And the first few years, his teammates were horrible.
Orlando Woolridge.
Broken down Orlando Woolridge.
Yeah, out of Notre Dame. He was a good player when he came out of Notre Dame, but him and Bill Laimbeer played together in college, right?
Oh wow, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Orlando went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, man. He was their freshman, or he was their young player, Bill Laimbeer, and I forget the other guy. Under Digger Phelps. Salute to Digger Phelps.
Now, you see, this is what happens when you turn away from your family and you don't take a look and see what your family is doing behind your back. I go look into the chat to take a look and see what's going on with our family. And I'm looking at David Smith, but throw up his last comment there. Please, do us the honor. Throw up his last comment.
This one.
Yes. Time machine would place Patrick Ewing with Compton, the Knicks win at least one NBA chip. This is blasphemy. It's absolutely blasphemy. And I don't know how far back you go, David Smith, okay? But I'm just going to open up a little bit of facts here about then and now. So let's start with then. Karl Anthony Towns would have never been able to play with, he's playing the 4, the 5, the 4, the 5. He would have to have been the 5. Day one. Okay? His physicality for a player of that stature could not be in question. His defense, okay? When you're comparing him against Ewing in their prime years, defensively, you've heard me on these airwaves say the sky's the limit for Karl. Okay? But you gotta relax.
Yeah,
he's yet to have a game 7 when it's all on the line for the championship.
Oh, for the championship, okay.
Right? Going on the line to get to the finals. Ewing against Indiana in 94. It's 24-22-7 or 20-22-20, 24-20, something like that. It's 2020s. And assists. And block shots. And the crescendo putback to win the game. Nobody don't love Karl Anthony Towns more than me, the acquisition. But you gotta relax, sir. You're in revisitation. Okay? Because you lived it, or if you lived it, or if you only watched it on YouTube or whatever, I lived it. There's no comparison in the player today, Karl Anthony or Ewing, in their totality of the game, of their games. Come on now. Yeah. Next.
Yeah. I understand where Smitty coming from. I don't know if I agree, AD. I understand where Smitty coming from, But I do want to say this: Patrick Ewing had a very smooth jump shot. Patrick Ewing could shoot the three back then, but I think we have to remember that was not a 3-point shooting era from anyone. When Reggie Miller shot 4 3-pointers in the game, we thought he was going crazy. Like, bro, you shot 6 threes in a game? Are you serious? And now some dudes have taken 6 threes in a quarter.
In a quarter.
Yeah, in a half.
You know what I'm saying? Like his game of they would have never allowed him to shoot threes like that.
No.
You know, Ewing used to get a lot of flack for being a good jump shooter.
A jump shooter, yeah.
Right? You gotta get your head under the rim, Pat.
Yeah.
That's why we're losing.
Yeah, you have to fight your way to the front of the rim and dunk on a crowd, Pat. That was the offense back then. Now, with that said, too, I want to point out a thing about defense, though. That golden era of center was ushered out quickly because of pick and roll defense. And bigs nowadays struggle with pick and roll defense, bro. The pick and roll is hard for a big man to defend because you ask a big man to do little guy stuff away from the rim and big guy stuff at the rim. If Patrick Ewing had to face pick and roll coverage every night, he would have got destroyed in pick and roll coverage.
No.
Elijah Wan?
No.
In pick and roll coverage would have got destroyed in pick and roll coverage. Shaquille O'Neal?
Yes.
Pick and roll coverage?
Yes.
Was getting destroyed.
He was getting destroyed by Utah.
Yeah.
He was getting destroyed by Utah because he could not. They would isolate him off the pick and roll, and he just wasn't trying to go out there to guard Carl.
Because that's what that
big couldn't do, right? Those other three bigs that you're talking about, especially Young Pat. Do you remember this play? I remember it like yesterday. Game 4, 97 against Miami in the Garden. Hardaway Sr. has the ball on the wing off of a pick and roll, and it's Ewing who is guarding him. It's 2-1. Him and Ewing on the island. Ewing, get it out of here. He wasn't even prime Ewing. Right? At that point, he's 35, 36. When he was 29, 30, 28. And he could literally go from side to side. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. The young Ewing could absolutely destroy the pick and roll. I've seen him do it many times over. Like I said, that was in a playoff game when he catches Hardaway Sr. Knicks go up 3-1. We know the history after that. And we hit that.
Yeah, I feel you, AD. Yeah. They'll get destroyed in the pick and roll, bro.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
Shaq all day.
Yeah.
He just didn't care about the outside of paint defense.
Yeah, they will get
Robinson, Elijah Ewing. No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. Those were different defenders. No, sir. Those are side to side court defenders. No, sir.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would. I saw Utah destroy them in the pick and roll, and Utah never even had an elite center. Utah said, "We're not going after an elite center because elite centers can't guard the pick and roll. They can't." Right? It's not saying that those centers would be worse players. It's just like having your linebackers in pass coverage, right? Linebackers are excellent tacklers, and they're excellent at stuffing the run. And once the ball is caught by somebody, they can run down the play and tackle somebody. But asking a linebacker to be a defensive back is getting that linebacker out of his.
Yeah, but my point is the creme de la creme could, because Ray Lewis could. See what I'm saying? You know, when you drop LT in coverage, LT could, but it just wasn't what you would do from your point of attack because he did something else that much better. There's a play with LT drop backs into coverage, and he has like a 95 interception with the great Jerry Rice gives up on the play. Literally, stop chasing LT down.
Yeah.
So my point is the greats can do that. I'm not talking about Greg Ostertag, Ronnie Cycli.
No, we're not talking about the bad.
I'm talking about the best of the best.
Yeah, they would get destroyed in pick and roll coverage.
No, sir. No, sir. No
and
way.
The reason why they would get destroyed in pick and roll coverage is in pick and roll coverage, you have to commit to a certain thing. You have to commit to it. And which part of the pick and roll coverage are you going to commit to? Are you going to hedge out front and depend on the guy rotating in behind you to protect the rim? Or are you going to get deepest the deepest and allow people to shoot 8-footers in your face all day?
It's you see, here's the point where you're missing, Freezie. Okay? It's who's in action for the pick and roll. Okay? If your role man is a Mitch Robinson or someone who's athletically inclined that is gonna dunk, that comes into play. Right? Not every guy is that. Right? So immediately, if my center or my guy who's not going to cover the pick, what am I going to do? I'm going to guard Mitch Rollinson because why? Mitch is no threat outside. You understand? The play that I talked about with Ewing on Hardaway Sr., who's Miami's bigs?
Yeah,
it's Morning. Miami's big is Morning. I think Morning might have even fouled out of that game if I remember correctly. Chat. Remember me. But Miami's big is Morning. Ewing doesn't stay with Morning. He's picked off. He has to do what? Defend one of the greatest on-ball dudes you've ever seen in your life. In his prime. Well, not prime because he had already hurt the knee. But he had resuscitated his career and so forth. And he blocked his shot. Okay? And I'm not talking about, Hardaway in mid-shot and Ewing comes over a la, Hakeem to Starks. No. Ewing was right there with him in defensive stance. Giving him all opportunity to go left or right, and he couldn't. Couldn't go left or right off of the pick. When he rose, he's a 6'2 man if trying to rise on a 7'1 dude. Ewing ate it. So I'm talking about the best of the best. Those guys that we're talking about athletically, defensively, the original point was Carl Anthony being better than Ewing. And those moments,
I never said that though.
No, not you. I'm talking about the original point of when we were talking with what David said, right? If I'm correct, right? David said that, right? His comparison to Carl to Pat. I'm like, Carl has not gotten there defensively. And at this point, am I looking for him to get there defensively? In moments. In moments. The whole game? No, that's not him.
Yeah, it's to me, I find it, and I probably shouldn't say it. I'm gonna say it anyway, man. Fuck it. Right.
What did you ever bite your fork tongue?
Yeah. The hilariousness of comparing Carl Anthony Towns to anybody just it boggles my mind because it's not even a cat thing. First of all, is hilarious how we can always just nitpick on Carl Anthony Towns, who right now is the best center in the Eastern Conference. Right
Facts.
now, mind you, no one is above criticism, right? If that's the case, if the case is everybody can be criticized or critiqued, right? It's hilarious that we don't do it for Jalen Brunson, right? Jalen Brunson doesn't. We can't critique Jalen Brunson. We can critique Cat, right? Secondly, it's hilarious to me that we always compare Carl Anthony Towns' situation to other centers' situation without adding all the detail. And the reason the reason why we do that is because we don't want to know all the details, right? We don't want to know all the details about Cat. We just don't like Cat. It's petty. That's just what it is.
I think Knicks fans like Cat. I think overall Knicks fans like Cat.
I think overall. I
wouldn't go there. And if they don't like Cat, they should be drug tested.
Right. And so AD, what I'm saying is not just that. I'm saying the ones that always have something to say about Cat, they specifically leave out detail because they don't like Cat, and you're not going to make them like Cat.
Okay,
you have to respect the fact that they don't like Cat and live with it. I live with it. Like, it don't bother me when I see them make a ridiculous Cat take. I don't even say nothing. I just let them live in that thing that they are, where they are. Right? That I'm not gonna waste time or energy or anything like that, because when people don't know what they don't know, some can't be taught. So you just let them live. And that you want to be in that lane, then listen, live in that lane. That's what you are. Right? Just live there. Right? Because I remember saying something about it first. I'm like, yo, why are we comparing Cat to such and such player? And then people will jump in and be like, yo, nah, man, Cat don't do this, Cat don't do that. And then I'm like, man, it's hilarious that Cat don't do a lot of stuff, right? But he leads the NBA in rebounding and shoots 40. At the time of the conversation, Cat was shooting 52% from three on high volume. At the time of that conversation, a center at the time of that conversation, the NBA center was shooting 52% from three on high volume and leading the NBA in rebounding. And we pointed out the thing that we want to see him do better, instead of appreciating the thing that he's doing at an extremely high level. So you're like, hey, you know what? This person just don't like them. They ain't going. There's no. It's like AD. It's like our oxtail conversation, right? There's no way. There's some people don't like oxtail. Right? There's no way you can convince them otherwise, bro.
I'm one of those.
You're not gonna make them eat oxtail and rice, bro. You're not gonna make them eat. You're not gonna make them like oxtail, no matter what you say to them. They're like, nah, man, that ain't me. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, well, fine. Do you bang your head against the wall too? And you're like, nah, let that person.
Well,
in that place where they at.
Well, I'm not saying you can't feel, just in that comparison, right? Ewing, Cat. To me, it's just obviously one player is just not as good right now. And when you're looking at their individual skill sets, as we already went over with the defense or whatever, Cat's not there. That's no shot at Cat. It's really not. There's a lot of guys in the history of the NBA that was just not as good as Ewing's. Why he's part of the top 75.
Right.
See what I'm saying? That's no disrespect to him, but can he get there? Should he strive to get there? In doing so, does it take the Knicks even that much farther where they eventually want to go? Those are fair questions. Fair.
Yeah, you know what?
Because he was brought here for a reason.
Being an all-star starter is not good enough.
Hell no.
Right. Okay.
Hell no.
He was brought here to be a high level player.
He's brought here to win a championship.
Right. Did Pat Ewing win a championship?
No, he did not. He was drafted to win a championship.
He was drafted to win a championship. Right. Did Frank Ntilikina win a championship? No. He was brought here to win a championship, though.
He was drafted to be the quintessential French parlez-vous français model.
Yeah,
he was drafted to continue our pathetic scouting and drafting of the French Foreign Legion. Don't you bring up Frank Ntilikina's name to me? You trying to upset my Sunday, man?
Right. So the thing I'm getting at to you, I'll say this to you, AD. This is the thing I'll say to you.
What if I said Marseille Lampe?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so what I'll say is this: this Knicks team they exist in a different era of NBA basketball, right? We live in a different era of NBA basketball. Teams are taking more 3-pointers per game than they ever have in the history of the league, right?
And it's a problem.
Right. Teams are taking more threes than they ever have. And instead of us talking about point of attack defense and perimeter defense, we're talking about cat. You know what that meant? That made me feel like somebody snitching. Right? That's what it made me feel like. Like legit, you can't point out that Jalen Brunson is a terrible perimeter defender.
You're gonna have to come on camera with that one. You can't be calling out snitches behind the screen. You can't be calling.
Yeah. Instead of saying that Jalen Brunson's perimeter defense is atrocious, we're pointing at cat like he did it. He did it.
And it's not, but go ahead.
What's not atrocious?
Jalen Brunson's perimeter defense is not atrocious.
What?
It's not atrocious. Stop it.
Anthony, don't do that, bro. See that? Don't do that, bro. Come on, man. See, this is the reason. That's disingenuous. If Jalen Brunson's defense was not atrocious, why are we taking other guys to guard his man? We're taking a wing defender to guard guards.
Because
Jalen Brunson's defense is
because the other team's best players just happens to be the guard. Do you want Jalen Brunson guarding SGA? Is that what we doing? You want Jalen Brunson to guard SGA?
Is SGA a point guard?
I don't give a rat's ass. Right. You want Jalen Brunson guarding SGA? What are you mad?
This is what we're talking about right here. And this is what it sounds like.
You are you picking the pick. Here you go again, picking at the woman for not picking up your socks. No,
I'm not.
Here you go again, you picking the pick. You want Jalen in what world? Could Jalen Brunson guard SGA?
No, I'm not. See, that's the thing. So first of all, just to assume that a player that is shorter than SGA can't guard SGA is false.
Nobody can guard SGA.
Right.
How about that?
Right.
What did he do to Bridges? What did he do to Bridges? Did Bridges even score? Score?
But Anthony D, the goalpost has been moved slightly.
That's what we do.
This was not about Bridges. This is about Jalen Brunson and accountability. The fact we're pointing out, like, we legit put Cat in a time machine about pick and roll defense. And then when we say Jalen Brunson can't guard the point of attack, we start snitching. What about Bridges? Bro, this is what I'm talking about. Like, legit in a world where we want accountability, and we point out, well, how about Cat's pick and roll defense is atrocious by itself, but it's made even worse because we can't keep people in front of us and they get to the front of the rim. And then we're like, Cat is supposed to block their shot at the front of the rim and defend at the rim when we know that's his weak spot. Right? These are the things that I'm talking about. Like, Cat's defense is bad. I know that.
Yeah, but we're
Cat knows that.
Yeah, but we're not picking at Cat.
Yeah, we are.
No, we're not picking that Cat. I'm not. At least I'm not picking that Cat. I don't think anybody in the chat was picking that Cat.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the clarification.
We just morph into, expectations. Freezie. When they, right or wrong, when they drafted Ewing, you don't draft. You don't have a draft where you're accused of rigging it. Where there's cities offering all types of madness for Ewing. You think they were doing all of this just to have him as a trophy piece? Even if he didn't come to New York, you think it would have been any less pressure on him to win a championship? Maybe less media people on a day-to-day. But at that time, they were calling him Bill Russell 2.0.
Yeah.
Right? I remember Knicks fans, the next day, they rushed Madison Square Garden. Everybody bought tickets. They redid the whole
season tickets. Yeah.
Season tickets the next day. You couldn't get there. The first game against Philly, you couldn't get in the house.
Right.
When he dunked on the back of Moses, oh my God! You'd have thought it was the Exodus again.
Right.
It was like, oh my God! What's the name say? Basketball is back.
Basketball is back in New York City.
Yeah. Right? Poor Dave DeBusschere almost had a stroke.
Yeah, you saw him. You saw his hands, bro. You like, what's wrong with your hands? Dave DeBusschere, do something. Put your hand in your pocket.
Rest in peace, Dave.
The original Draymond Green, by the way. People give Draymond Green love. Dave DeBusschere is the original undersized power forward. Yeah, he was. Yeah, and he could pass, and he called out defenses. He was like Dave DeBusschere. To his credit and discredit, is a top 10 Knick of all time and should be in the top 5, but he'll never get credit for being that good, right? Because of his unselfish stat line. But with Dave DeBusschere sacrificed so many stats for championships that when Knicks fans that were not alive during that time, they won't know how great of a player and how impactful Dave DeBusschere was as a Knick. Totally your little guards, Clyde and Earl, could run around and do whatever they want to do because Dave DeBusschere was the enforcer on the floor, right? He did all these little things, man, that you could never, ever, ever quantify with just stats alone. AD, I just want to say this real quick, that the Cat conversation is just about likes and dislikes, what you like versus what you dislike. There's no, I don't even have the energy for it. Some of it is just stupid, right? Some of it is just stupid and lowbrow. So I'm not even getting
some of it is, but
AD, let me do this though. Today is the 5-year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant. Right. And so what I wanted to say to you, as opposed to bullying a grown man, NBA All-Star millionaire, I want to talk about Kobe Bryant and the contributions of Kobe Bryant from a Knicks fan perspective. Just real quick.
I was watching the 96 draft last week.
Oh God.
I don't know why I do it to myself.
And John Wallace, I don't have anything
against I'm gonna get there.
I don't have anything against John Wallace, bro.
I don't have anything against John Wallace neither, just that he was on our team. Don't have to get John Wallace so that we picked him. But here's a young man that most of America had not seen, because most of his skills were developed in Europe. Him being son of, Jelly Bean Bryant, rest in peace to his dad.
Right.
When Kobe comes back here and so forth, and then you started hearing, because that was one of the first years, I think, you had a coach that was on the set of the draft, and Rick Pitino was the coach, and it was not just Rick, it was Rick and Hubie Brown. I think it was Rick's first year on the coach, and it was like TNT's first year doing it, or something like that. But you just started hearing the swell of things, and before then, it's like, who's this high school kid taking Brandy to the prom? We didn't even see him play, really.
Right. You remember, Brandy was a thing, bro. Brandy
was the hot young chick. Young celebrity at that time.
Yeah, she was like 7. She was a year older than Kobe. I think she was like 19.
Yeah, but we knew her for like 5-6 years. We didn't know this dude. We're like, who is that?
At all. Everybody, I'm gonna cut AD off real quick, just to throw in a thing, just throw in some context, right? At that time, sons of NBA players that made it to the league were not good. That was the first stigma, right? If you were the son of a former NBA player, a lot of those dudes had not established a reputation of being great, right? First of all. Second of all, high school players straight to the pros was considered taboo because of the lifestyle of NBA play. Like these 28, 29-year-old NBA players now have to be aware of their surroundings because there's an 18-year-old in a room, right? The third thing is Kobe Bryant wasn't even 18 years old. Kobe Bryant was super young for his draft class. So a lot of the things that Kobe was doing at that time was in line with his age group, but out of line with his total age group, if you feel me. Like 18-year-olds was signing up for the Army, doing whatever, getting factory jobs. They 18, they starting to step into their adult grown person life. Kobe Bryant is 17 and some change and can't do any of that stuff. So he's still doing 17-year-old stuff. But his class is 18-year-olds, right? Kobe had a late birthday, right? The other thing about it is the fourth stigma, and AD can vouch for this. The fourth stigma is if you're going to draft a kid out of high school, he better be a big, right? Because at the bare minimum, you can get a big man to go in there and block shots and rebound until he learned the game, right? And Kobe was not that. Generally, if you're going to take a big, if you're going to take a young player out of high school, he better be a 7-footer built like Darryl Dawkins, right? That's just part of it, right? And so Kobe Bryant had all these things that he had to overcome as a young person that loved basketball. And the fifth thing, and this is the first thing Anthony D said, Kobe Bryant was playing a Euro style of basketball in a Philadelphia suburb. So some of the things that he was doing in American basketball looked off-putting because American basketball on the East Coast was played a different way. Like out West, they played a different finesse style basketball. East Coast, they played no blood, no foul basketball. The Euro style, right? They played high IQ basketball, right? High IQ, know when to cut, anticipate the pass, all of that stuff, right? So Kobe had all these things going against him. And then the two things that happen or AD, it's like, maybe it's like 10 things, right? The first thing is there is an Allen Iverson mania, right? People forget how popular Allen Iverson was at Georgetown.
Yes,
right?
Rightfully so.
Allen Iverson was a thing. Now, if you grew up in the New York tri-state area, right, like myself, right, 13 to 14 minutes from Midtown Manhattan, right, this is where I grew up at, right? There was a point guard that had a freshman year at Georgia Tech named Stephon Marbury, right?
Yeah.
And if you're the Knicks, right, and if you're a lifelong Knicks fan, you saw Stephon Marbury like, yo, if we trade up in the draft to get any young player, it better be Steph Marbury, right? Because he's from here and he dominated college. The Knicks need a young point guard. And if we go get anybody that's young, it better be Steph Marbury. Right, AD, I just wanted to add all of that stuff to the conversation. My
Well,
bad.
absolutely. But to back with Kobe, right? Even though he had the Euro game and so forth, his dad and stuff didn't feel like he was polished enough.
Right. Yep.
So they had to come back to the States. You know, and he has to come back, and he comes back as this guy speaks like 3 different languages at the time.
Yep.
You know,
Fluid in Italian.
he's not. I'm gonna use a term that we haven't used in a long time. He's not down by law.
Right. Right.
Okay, he's kind of an outsider, so he has to build that, and he really does it in a short span of time.
Right.
You know, because it didn't take long for these two people, at least that I know of in the community. Calipari, Jerry West.
Yeah.
West, to his own account, was just gaga over him. Calipari liked him as well, but him having the Nets job, he's looking for something that's more, it's going to be a home run. Can't miss. I can't take a chance on the young 17, 18-year-old who may be great, who may even be good, because you can't predict greatness necessarily. But West predicted greatness.
Yep.
And I guess you can only see it, he can only see it when it comes to the skills and what he's looking for, because he had done it on the highest level of this game. He had been through the most misery that any outside of LeBron, West, Jerry West, and Will, and the rest of them Lakers guys, but West in particular, they hadn't won. They only won the one time. They lost like 7, 8 straight.
Yeah.
So from all of this, he pulls from to say, I'm getting this kid right here.
Yeah.
You're the Knicks. You've got 3 picks in this draft. Back then, people didn't trade multiple picks, especially first-round picks, to move up or down like that. As much as we love Checkers and we think fondly of him in those 90s and whatever, it just wasn't a part of what they did. They didn't see it. The 96 draft was littered up and down with future NBA stars.
Yep.
Somehow, some way, the Knicks come away with Mo, Larry, and Curly.
Oh, no, he didn't. Oh.
And I love the Three Stooges.
I love the Three Stooges too, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Wallace is falling for a reason. Not like when Mark Jackson was falling, right?
Right.
But it's the same thing. The Knicks are in the same position. Homegrown talent is falling. I liked Wallace when Wallace was at Syracuse. But I never thought Wallace... I liked Wallace kind of like I like Big Dog Robinson, right? When Big Dog came out, I loved Big Dog. I never thought something about Big Dog's game. I was just like...
He wasn't a winner. He wasn't a winner. As long as he got his numbers, he was straight.
It's like how I looked at Elton Brand. I'm like, I don't see it. I just don't see it. But with Wallace, I thought Wallace had peaked at Syracuse. I really did. Because back then, it was all about college basketball.
Yeah.
Simultaneously with the NBA. So Wallace's game, I knew intimately. You had young pieces. You had, what's my guy with Jermaine O'Neal?
Yeah.
Who was a high school player, and it would have taken, see, that's what the Knicks didn't have at that time. They didn't have superior scouting to be like, they had Grunfeld. Grunfeld likes Jermaine O'Neal. Grunfeld has picked 18, 20, and I think 22.
No, we had 2 picks back to back.
Do we have back? Okay.
Yeah, 18. I think it was 18.
We have 18, 19, 21.
Yeah.
Portland is at 17.
Ironically, one of those first round picks we got for Pat Riley. Ironically.
Portland is sitting there at 17. Portland does not need Jermaine O'Neal.
Nope.
Okay? Jermaine O'Neal is sitting there. Even before Jermaine O'Neal, there's guys that are going, and the Knicks are sitting there like, because I remember at some point they were like, the Knicks have 3 draft picks, and, you never know what may happen with them today. Nothing happened. They drafted John Wallace.
Yeah, AD, so we had 18, 19, and 21.
Okay. When we need, and this is why, for people, when we needed Wallace the following year, back to that, Miami series when half of the team is suspended and so forth, when we needed Wallace. Look at Wallace in Game 7.
See, that's, yeah.
Look at Wallace in his tenure with the Knicks when the Knicks kind of needed him. He's number 1 pick who has offensive skills.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? This is what happens when a franchise, you just kind of stuck in I got Ewing, I got what I got or whatever, and I don't have space for anything else to help me out. Can't win like that. Detroit wins their championships because why? They draft John Sally, Dennis Rodman.
In the same draft, yep.
In the same freaking draft.
Yep, in the same draft, yep.
They're intricate parts of their winning their championships.
Right. And they
Dante, what was it? Dante Jones, Walter McCarty couldn't shoot in college.
Right, but he had handles though. We were in love with his handles, bro. Walter, for a guy his size, for him to be so smooth with the basketball.
When did we ever see it?
We couldn't, because he couldn't get off the bench. Yo, they couldn't. They wouldn't let that. Thank you, Van Gundy.
Whenever I see, and I do it to myself from time to time, because the NBA channel, they'll run that damn 96 draft like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. All I can think about is like the Knicks were a championship contender at that time. And they couldn't find anything with the draft picks that they had to use it. Whether you were trading those 3 picks for a veteran to help out your current situation or whatever, or whether you were going to trade up in the draft or you were going to trade down, but you were going to find a piece to help you win it. Neither thing happened.
AD. So I tell my cousin this all the time, right? All right, I tell my and this is weird that I'll say it, right? But I'll say it here. In '95, Pat Ewing goes to the rim, and he in a clincher, and he doesn't bring the game home, right? As soon as I saw that, and we were in Raleigh, North Carolina, at a college named St. Augustine College, right? We were there in Raleigh, North Carolina. We saw this happen, right? And he turns to me. He was like, yo, we need to trade all these bums and get Pat some help. And at that moment, I was like, dog, we need to trade Pat. And he was like, bro, are you crazy? What's wrong with you? Did you fall and bump your head? And I'm like, no, I didn't fall and bump. I love Pat Ewing, right? I love Pat Ewing, right? But a big man, an athletic big man has a shelf life, right? An athletic big man has a shelf life, right? And so I'm not knocking Pat. Y'all know I love Pat Ewing. But I'll even say this: when Victor Wembanyama loses his athleticism, they better trade him, right? Because there are certain things that a athletic big man with no athleticism can no longer do.
Yes.
And so when I said it to my cousin, he was like, "Yo, you wildin', you selling out Pat?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not selling out Pat.
You sold out your goat."
Yeah, I'm not selling out my. I'm just shaving them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not selling out my goat, man. And so when Pat, AD, you remember the layup I'm talking about, right?
Oh Jesus!
Right? You remember when the Pacers defense parted like the Red Sea and Pat Ewing bricked it off back iron? As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Yo, you got to trade him right now, at his peak. You got to trade him."
He was past his peak.
Yeah. You got to trade him right now for a bunch of draft picks, so that you can find you one of these. At the time, I ain't gonna lie. When I saw Shaq, I thought there were gonna be multiple Shaquille O'Neals coming out. I didn't know Shaq was a unicorn, right? I didn't know Shaq was gonna be one in a million. I didn't know that at the time, and nobody did, to be honest, right? Nobody did, because what happens is the NBA and leagues like it are copycat leagues, right? Like if Patrick Mahomes is good, then every NFL draft you go into, you got to try to find the next Pat Mahomes. When we found out Michael Jordan was good, you had to find the most explosive, athletic, elite 6'6" guy, because you might be able to find the next Michael Jordan. Well, come to find, you can't find another Michael Jordan. But at the time,
you mean Harold Miner was him?
Yeah, Gerald Wilkins. Yeah. So y'all bear with me with my truth telling. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell the truth. I ain't gonna I'm not gonna change the story after the fact. When Pat Ewing missed that layup, I was like, "Yo, you got to go into the draft and find you a replacement for Pat right now, right? Because we're not gonna beat the Bulls if Pat Ewing can't beat the Pacers, right? There's no way we could compete at an NBA championship level with Pat Ewing being the guy like that. You gotta infuse some young energy in this team. Now, AD, you know what the Knicks did? They did exactly what I said, except they didn't use the draft. You remember how much younger we got in '96? Remember that?
Well, we didn't get younger. Well, I mean, we got Houston. We got Childs.
25.
Childs is younger. We got, Larry Johnson for Mason.
Yeah.
For Mason. So I guess, yeah, I mean,
But is that not, that was a consensus. When you saw that old team couldn't put away Indiana, you were like, Indiana ain't going nowhere. Indiana is here to stay. Right now, do you want to lose in the second round every year and watch Indiana and Chicago in the conference finals, or do you want to get younger? The Knicks chose to remove some of those older fellas and the old style of play and bring in a more balanced and dynamic attack.
Yeah, but they didn't. Okay, we started with Kobe, right? So
right. This is still
I know. So let me make the correlation. The Lakers are looking at Shaq's unhappy in Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay. We know what West feels about Kobe. They're in transition. The Lakers sucked for a few years, right? Talented, but sucked after Magic.
So, and he's saying sucked compared to what they had in the 80s. Yeah.
Yes.
But 44 wins, 45 wins is not really sucking. But AD is talking about a team that's used to winning 55, 60 games.
But I mean, they had Sedell 3, Elvin Campbell.
Cedric
Jones,
Ceballos,
Jones,
Blunt.
Nick, Van Exel.
Yeah.
But they weren't that. They weren't
Eddie
champions.
Jones. Yeah.
Eddie Jones, right? But the Knicks at the time, they're not thinking like the Lakers.
No.
They're thinking to rebuild around Pat. See, that's the difference. Pat's 35, 36.
How do you rebuild about a 35-year-old? You're rebuilding around a 35-year-old in the 1990s.
If the Lakers knew that Shaq wanted out, the Knicks should have known that Shaq wanted out. The Knicks did know that Shaq wanted out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don Nelson told them this.
Yeah.
Don Nelson with Nelly, and I always remind people, Nelly gets fired with having an 11-game over 500 record.
Yeah. And the Knicks and NBA teams couldn't figure out that Knicks offense. They just couldn't.
It sucked. It was Pat, sometimes John, everybody else in the middle. When you got Anthony Bonner getting major minutes.
I liked Anthony Bonner.
I like Anthony Bonner too. My namesake and all that. Anthony Bonner couldn't shoot.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Anthony Bonner is like a real. Damn, I wouldn't even do that. He just had no offensive ability. They didn't try to find it. Yeah, he's just a good, tough defender who played hard.
And he had handles. He was strong. Yeah. He had an elite type handle situationally. Like he wasn't gonna break people down in the half court. But him and Anthony Mason both had very, very good handles, pound for pound. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Mason's probably a little better, but just within that team building reconstruction, Pat is on his last legs. He really is. You bring in Allen Houston, they don't mirror each other as in chronological years. Pat's 35, 36. Allen is 26, 25.
Right, yeah.
Allen is ready to go. The team is they're still held up in this, it's Pat and it's my team. Because in 96 had the most free agents, I think, in the history of the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some 200 free agents or whatever.
Michael Jordan was a free agent, everybody.
Michael Jordan, everybody was a free agent, right? Yeah. Pat was a free agent. The Knicks inked Pat right away.
Yeah.
Gave him a new 4-year, $75 million, whatever it was.
Don Nelson wanted to trade Pat to the Celtics. Remember that?
Don Nelson wanted to trade Pat. Don Nelson was like, look, Shaq wants out. Shaq thinks he's coming to New York.
Yeah.
And the Knicks let Ewing's feelings because, and I love Pat. Y'all know I love Pat, right? But at that point in time, he's a temperamental prima donna.
Yeah.
And he feels some type of way. Halftime that year, 96, when Nelly's still coaching, halftime of a game, I can't remember what it was. I know it was a Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
They interviewed Ewing, and Ewing goes on this not a rant, but at some point in time, he goes, I miss Pat Riley.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Monday morning, they fire Nelly.
Yep.
Because your superstar was like, yo, I'm done with this. I'm done with fighting Anthony Mason for post positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm done with it.
And AD, and one of the other things I wanted to point out too is Pat Ewing was growing increasingly frustrated that Don Nelson was putting him further and further away from the rim so that he could shoot. Right? Remember that? Why am I throwing post passes to Anthony Mason? It's not because Anthony Mason can score down there. It's because the defenses collapse on Anthony Mason. They did that during that time. Right? They collapse on the post, kick it back out to Pat Ewing for 3, and you can make a living with that, Pat. But Pat didn't want to be the next Dirk Nowitzki. He couldn't see it. Right?
Well, not for Mason. he wasn't going to surrender. He wasn't going to surrender who he was for anybody. Let's just get that straight.
No, I know. I get that, AD. Let me finish my point.
Go ahead.
Let me finish my point. My point was not that Pat Ewing was not that good of a player. Don Nelson was trying to extend that man's career, and Pat Ewing couldn't see it. Right? We all saw Pat Ewing miss a 4-foot layup off the back of the rim. Pat Ewing 4 feet away as a 7-footer and super long arms missed a finger roll from point blank, right? We all knew Pat could shoot. And Don Nelson was trying to get Pat away from the normal ways of the 80s basketball and introduce him into the 2000s version of NBA basketball. And Pat Ewing didn't want to see it. What happens? Pat Ewing leaves that exchange, then starts to get injured every year after that. Every year, Pat Ewing has some sort of injury playing the 80s style of. You remember when Andrew Lane broke his wrist? Remember that?
Yes.
Right. You remember when Pat Ewing had the high ankle sprain, and they were like, Pat, don't play on it, and then Pat tore his Achilles. Remember that?
Well, but those things came because he wasn't in shape anymore. Because at some point in time, he became. And people don't remember this. Pat was president of the union,
and he was 38 years old.
And he's 30. His late 30s.
Yeah.
And when they're on the verge of lockout, another thing that people don't realize, Pat lost more money than any other NBA player.
Yeah.
He was the highest paid player. He was either number 1 or number 2 that season, just in average salary.
Yeah.
And half the season is gone. He gets half his salary.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's out of shape.
Yeah.
He's not in what they knew of him, even an older Pat. But he's breaking down and he's out of shape.
You know who else was breaking down at the time? Hakeem Olajuwon. Remember Hakeem Olajuwon
yes.
had the pinhole size things in his heart where he couldn't breathe. Remember that? And the Rockets thought he was washed up. And
he was?
Yeah, but he was washed up. That was the point that I was going to get at.
He was washed.
It wasn't these pinhole size things in your heart.
No, was that what you don't beef all the time.
Right. This is the
you don't beef all the time. When it's your time, it's your time.
And this is why the Knicks should have taken those 3 picks in that first round in 96 and traded up to get either or both Steve Nash or Peja Stojakovic.
Either one.
But they would
definitely Nash, but it was a stigma.
Right.
And I don't know why it was a stigma, because you had great undersized and just great white players in this game, period. But their scouting didn't see it. Before Nash, there was Price.
Right. Yep. And so, AD, that's the point that I'm getting at. Instead of us pivoting in that moment and realizing our mortality, what we did was double down on something that we knew didn't work.
It just didn't. When you have the chance to get a once-in-a-lifetime talent like Shaquille O'Neal, you move heaven and earth to get him. You don't let your feelings for Pat blind the organization. Because he's only, and this is just fair, you're only going to be with an organization for a certain amount of time, depending on how good you are.
Right.
But still, depending on how good you are, it's going to come to an end at some point in time. The organization will be here longer than you will be. That's just a fact.
That's a fact.
Okay? So to sit there with Pat at that time, when you got a chance to get shot, it just made no sense.
It makes no sense, AD.
Made no sense at all. But we were blinded because the 99 finals run.
Right.
The 2000, we get to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2000 as well.
Did we go to Game 7 or was that Game 6?
I think that was 7. I know we lost it on our home court. That's for damn sure. I think that was game 7.
Right.
And I did another game 7.
Right.
Yeah, and then here's what you have now. You have the in-squabbling between one half of the team or some of the players. They still like Pat. They still see Pat as whatever. But you got these young guys who want to run.
Can be in spree. They have no attachment to Pat Ewing whatsoever.
Yeah, you got these young guys who want to run.
Yep.
Right? And Pat now gets in his feelings.
Yep.
Right? And the Knicks management again placate to his feelings.
And that man is 38 years old.
You just don't. This is why the Celtics had all those problems at the end of their Larry Bird run and so forth. They held on to those guys, Parrish and McHale, longer than they needed to. Same thing with the Lakers. They held on with Kareem.
You know the irony to that, AD? Just real quick, the irony to the Celtics run is they felt like Danny Ainge was a problem because he was the youngest. Remember that Boston was like, we're going to get rid of this young player and trade him to Portland. Remember they traded him to Portland?
Yeah. And he helped Portland on their run.
Yeah. And so you're like, wait a minute. So the answer is not that y'all are old and injured. The answer is this young guy is a combo guard shooting 3-pointers.
Organizations, a lot of times when you trade your long-standing players, you should literally usher out the management as well.
Yeah.
Because they generally have no plan to the next.
They don't know how to wrap up a good story. They don't know how to
and sometimes as players lose their prime, management can lose their prime.
Right. Yeah.
It happens.
It's going on right now in Golden State. Right now in Golden State.
It happens because you don't know how to turn with these newer players that are coming in that wasn't here for the glory days.
Yep. And so for people that watched The Last Dance, the Chicago Bulls organization knew that they had to pivot because it's an unsustainable strategy to keep Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, all these guys together. They knew they had to make a pivot. What stopped Chicago from making a smooth transition is that everybody was fighting them all along the way. When Mike and them were winning championships, they wanted to put talent at the back end of the roster so that the transition after the Jordan years would be smooth. But Mike and Scotty and them wasn't feeling it. Phil Jackson, they like, well, what do we care about the post-Jordan years? We worried about the moment. And
but they had too. I think the owner always deferred to Krause.
Yep, he should have. Hall of Fame level, Hall of Fame GM.
The owner always deferred to Krause. So whenever the players, even Jordan, whenever they had a problem and they tried to, circumvent Krause, they would get, redirected. Because that's just what it was.
Right.
But Krause, and for as great a general manager and a talent evaluator as he was and so forth, he had a real major ego.
Yep.
And my personal opinion, some of the problems with him and the players were he wasn't the one who drafted Jordan.
Nope, he sure wasn't. But he drafted Scotty and Horace.
But he didn't draft Mike.
Right.
Right? So there is that thing like, I can do it without you that was looming for a few years.
Yeah.
That's why they got Kukoc.
Yeah.
When we heard about Kukoc, because remember, at that time, the game used to do this invitational, they'll have a team that'll play a European team. I think it was the McDonald's something, and a team will travel over. That's how we learned about Marshallonis and Drazen and all those guys. It was on those little, one team every year would do this go across there and play against it.
And all them guys, yeah.
Right. And that's how we started learning about these European guys. Crouch was like on the cutting edge of this.
Yep.
Crouch saw Kukoc a long time, and they're looking at Crouch like, what are you looking at him for? We're in the prime of our situation.
Right.
And on top of that, with Scotty signs a deal that the team told him not to sign, and he feels some type of way because he wants more money.
But his family was, when you hear Scotty's side of it, bro, he was like, how am I an NBA player and my parents and them don't have lights and electricity?
Yeah, but nobody tears up a contract once you sign.
Yeah, they don't do that. Yeah.
They don't do that. Right? So he's feeling some type of way because they're flirting with Tony.
Yeah.
So they take it out on him in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right? But they learn, I don't know if all of them learned to love him and what he brought to those teams and whatever. But remember, Scotty checks himself out against the Knicks in Game 6.
Yeah.
On their home floor.
Yeah.
You understand? So all of these things they're lingering in those last couple of years. They legitimately had another 2 years that they could have done.
Yeah.
It would have cemented, if their legacy, which is totally cemented, if they had won 2 more, you're not even debating any other team. Ever.
Right.
That's how good they were. And they still was that good at that. They don't break them up. You're not seeing Detroit, 04. I mean, not 04 Detroit, but you're not seeing those early Lakers and those early San Antonio teams.
Okay.
They're not beating them. Their rise is going to be delayed.
Kenny Smith says otherwise. Kenny Smith says Houston would have beat those Bulls teams with Jordan.
Kenny's supposed to say that because he was a part of their team.
Kenny Smith is crazy with that figure.
I mean, he has evidence when because regular season wise, they beat those teams.
Yeah, they was destroying the Bulls.
They beat those teams.
Yeah, from about 91. I think it's from about 91 through like 95. The Rockets were just killing the Bulls.
Right? I think they have like a 6-2 or something like that. But that was regular season.
Regular season don't count, bro.
Yeah, regular season don't count. And the thing is, Kenny, love you, New York, point guard, all of that. I saw what Derek Harper could do to you.
I saw that too.
Right? The Bulls were as good as the Knicks were defensively. The Bulls were better.
Every time I hear Derek Harper name, I want to punch somebody. Can I give you my top 1 most hated Knicks of all times list?
I think it's Derek Harper.
It's Derek Harper, bro.
I don't think anyone else is even in the picture.
Bro, I dislike. There are a lot of Knicks that wore the uniform I dislike, but Derek Harper keep getting beat on that same play up top, giving Sam Cassell and Robert Horry those straight ahead threes. People say John Starks Game 7. I'm here to say, if we don't even get to that point,
it's Game 3,
bro. Over and over, and Derek Harper looking at them shooting, and then looking at Starks. We're like, "Oh my bad, oh my god."
It's game 3. I don't know why you want to do this to us on this lovely Sunday,
bro. It made me hey man. So
it's game 3, but I want to slide back again a little bit more to Kobe, and his greatness. Is it the 2000 season, the 2001? No, it's after Shaq. So we're talking, what is that, 04?
Yeah, 04.
04.
You talking about 05? Because they lost to the Pistons in 04.
No, I'm talking about in between when he has, Smush Parker and
no help. Yeah, it's after 04. Remember the Pistons beat them in 04.
Right, and you just saw, they The man had 5 straight 50s, 9 straight 40s. He drops the 81 or the 82. He's a one-man wrecking crew. Right? He is a one-man wrecking crew.
Right.
That man at that point, I mean, it was just gorgeous. He was gorgeous. His movements, the way how he would attack the defense. I remember a game where him and Gilbert went toe to toe. And Gilbert drops like 62, I think. That's when 60s matter. Even in that game, we remember Gilbert 60, 61, 62, whatever. I think Kobe had like 47. Right? And Kobe goes after the game. That man has no conscience. But I think people thought of it like it was a negative, thing he was saying about Gilbert. But I think he was unconscious because Gilbert was just firing. Okay? And not threes. Gilbert was just shooting from everywhere.
Yeah.
But Kobe could bring that out of you.
And he had a move that people couldn't stop back then. Remember, and everybody remember, this is the start of the inundation of pick and roll offense and 3-point shooting. It's the very start, right, of getting the screen in the pick and roll, and the big has to make a choice whether he hedges or drops back. And in those days of when the classic big, remember, there was a void of big men coming into the league. That's why when Dwight Howard was drafted number 1 in that year that AD mentioned, people were thinking like the golden era of big men is back because of Dwight Howard, and thinking big men would be back on the way. They were not, by the way. But this is the thinking in 2004. You run the pick and roll, the classic rim protector, 3 blocks a game, 14 rebounds a game guy has to make a decision. Do I go out here and guard this little guy at 16 feet away from the rim, or do I protect the rim? And they didn't go out, and Gilbert Arenas ran this play to death. Now, am I saying Gilbert Arenas was a benefactor of a transition in NBA thinking? I'm not suggesting that, because I think Gilbert was great, but we do want to say that that is a factor in it. That was a factor. It wasn't the major factor, but it was definitely a part of it, right? Of the Shaquille O'Neals of the world were aging out of the league. The Pat Ewings were gone. The Elijah Wines were gone. The David Robinsons were gone, so to speak. And the big men that we existed in a power forward era. If you remember 2004 to about 2000, right when Kevin Durant was drafted, for like that 6-year stretch or so, right? When Blake Griffin was drafted, there was an era of power forwards dominating as opposed to centers.
Yes.
And Gilbert Arenas would just cook. And if you're a Knicks fan and you saw Gilbert Arenas, guess what? You passed on Gilbert Arenas in the draft. Gilbert Arenas was a 2nd-round pick.
Yes. It's one of those things where, to that point, it's always about relationships. It's always about what agent is friends with this general manager and whatever, because there's no way in hell Gilbert Arenas should have went in the 2nd round.
No.
It's not like a joker or somebody you didn't know, someone who just built his game and built his body and got himself. Gilbert was that guy.
How do you draft Richard Jefferson over Gilbert Arenas?
I wouldn't have. And I like Rich the player. He got on my nerves as a Knicks fan. Still does, but
yeah.
But not over. No.
Right. And the reason why they chose Richard Jefferson over Gilbert Arenas is because of the archetype, the Kenny Skywalker thing. The guy looks like Tarzan in college.
Yeah, I mean Gilbert, but Sir, I gotta run. We gotta leave it here, sir. As we slide out of this afternoon, everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us once again on this Sunday. We don't know where this journey started, but we know where it ended. It ended with you. Look for me and Freezie in the whirlwind. Garvey.
Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there.